Okay, I want to introduce our guest we have today. Bartina is here at Overture, and we're just going to talk a little bit about her journey to Overture and her passion of being an artist. So, Bartina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pete.
Well,
Happy to be here.
Oh, good. I'm glad because it's a pleasure to talk to artists because artists have a skill that usually is developed over lots of years. So how did you get into, the drawings and artists? What was the first thing that inspired you to get into it?
I grew up around Dayton, Ohio, and after 6 weeks of my senior year, my parents moved to 100 miles away to a little tiny town called Findlay, Ohio, and they did not offer the same classes that I had been taking in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up with 6 study halls every day, and it is about as boring as that sounds. And so I went and asked if I could take an art class, basically to fill up time.
Mm-hmm.
I had never really done art before then, but I had 5 study halls a day that were available for art stuff. And that's how I first got introduced to it. And I thought it was as easy as just doodling, but there are actually rules of art.
Sure.
And you have to follow them.
Who influenced you when you started on your journey to get to the place that you are here with the skills that you've developed?
Who influenced
Like
me?
artists, was there any artists? Was there any people you mentored you? Was there any classes you took?
The person who was the administrator of the art program where I lived, he kind of took an interest in me, and so he would come 3 times a week and just have like a one-on-one with me and talk to me about the elements of art, the principles of art, and there are some rules that make something worthy of being called an art piece.
Right.
And you have to have balance and texture and line, shape, space. And when I say balance, if you would think of a drawing of a great big elephant on the left side of your paper, on the right side, you have to balance that amount of mass on the left. And it doesn't have to be like an elephant and a hippo. It can be an elephant on one side and a tree and a rock. But the mass has to be close to the same on both sides. Or when you look at it, you'll say, there's something not right, and you can't really put your finger on it.
Right.
So those kind of things, he kind of indoctrinated in my mind so that I would pay attention to that.
What about, I know I looked at one of your drawings and it was a pelican with an eye. And it tended to be tell our listeners what your mindset was when you were drawing that picture.
That picture was, there has to be a focal point in your drawing or painting, and it has to be what you want the person to look at. Your eye travels around the picture, and it seeks a path of, it might be a recurring color that's in 3 different spots, and your eye will travel that path. I wanted people to look at that picture and think, what is that bird thinking of? Is he going to come and peck me to death? Or does he see a fish he wants to get? Or, it's kind of like putting life into your picture. And so my thing is eyes. Everybody has a thing that they focus on. Mine happens to be eyes.
Well, it's funny that you say that because Michelangelo, I read a book, and his was the body and the muscles. He studied he studied that, and there's a whole story behind it. So people think they just kind of jump in and they become an artist. They don't understand the intentional nature, I think, behind drawings, behind artwork. So let's go back. We're going to go into it more detail at another time, because being an artist is a lifelong journey. And so where do you see yourself right now with your drawings? What would you like to do with them? So our listeners can kind of understand that it's been a journey, and you now have a lot of drawings that are done. What do you see yourself doing in the next couple of years with the drawings that you've already made?
With the drawings that I have already made, that's always a question of what to do with them, because you can have a stack of finished paintings or drawings and you don't really know how to show them. There's not enough wall space. And so I created a couple of portfolios, one for watercolor and one for pastels. And what I'd like to do is to take a subject matter, for example, Florida birds. I have a fascination for the birds in Florida, and do kind of a series, and I would like to take it to the next step and have those drawings scanned in and then create like note cards or bookmarks, or even giclée is like a print of the original artwork. So you can offer that at a less price because it's not the original.
Right.
And a lot of artists never sell their originals. They hang on to them and they do the print.
That makes sense, because you can produce multiple prints, but you obviously only have one original. So what, in your travels, what brought you to Overture?
The reason I am at Overture is my husband passed away 6 years ago, and at that time my son and his wife graciously invited me into their home, and I lived there for 5 years, and I was just feeling the need to have my own place and my own schedule, and I thought I'd just give it a try and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then I'll try plan B. But I love Overture. It's my thing. I'm a people person, and I looked at lots of apartments. The one thing I did not see in other apartments were people. And I thought, where are all the people? But I walked into Overture, and there were people sitting at tables playing Scrabble or playing cards, or sitting and sharing a glass of wine and chatting. And I thought, this is going to be fun. And it has been fun.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on the community aspect. You don't find a lot of places that have a designated community space where people can get together and play games and cards and do things like that. What would you say? I know we met maybe, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you were with your husband in the chocolate business. Tell our viewers a little bit about that experience, opening up a retail place in Ackworth.
That was scary. When my husband decided to retire, he was trying to decide between doing this chocolate printing business and buying a tow truck. And you don't know how many times I have said, we should have gone with the tow truck. But it kind of combined the artistic kind of thing, because we had this printer that used food coloring instead of ink, and we had chocolates that had a white confectioner coating, and you could actually put the chocolate in trays that went through the printer, and it would print logos or photographs or initials, monograms, and it was a good idea. But then all of a sudden the economy crashed, and all of our corporate clients kind of disappeared because they were struggling to keep their doors open too.
Sure.
And chocolate was not on the top of their list.
Yeah, those things like those extras they provide to clients and stuff doesn't become extra when they're trying to pay the bills.
Yeah.
What time frame was that? Like, so our viewers can understand. When did you open? When did you guys open up the shop?
We opened on July 7th, 2007.
Oh, in 2008, the big crash happened. You know, everybody has a 2008 story because it definitely threw a lot of businesses off path. So how long did y'all have the retail chocolate business? From 2007 to when?
4 years.
4 years, wow. I know I bought some and I gave them to my clients, and that's when I first met you because I was testing out marketing. And I think I said something like, hey, I'll not being a guinea pig, but I said, hey, would you let me test some of the things I'm thinking, because I was in the restaurant business, and I thought it was a cool concept that you could put personalization on something that everybody loves. I mean, I don't know that too many people don't like chocolate. So, I mean, the concept is a great one. Timing is always a challenge in business because we go through cycles of recession and all that. And so some products are more susceptible to it than others. So what did you learn just going that, 4 years? What did you learn about business going through that retail experience?
The biggest lesson I learned was it takes more than running a place and having something to sell. You have to drive people into the door. They're not going to just say, oh, I wonder what's in there. You have to reach out to people and somehow get them to be curious about what you're doing.
Yep.
And taste it as well.
Yeah, I think that's Costco's method. Get people to taste things, and they buy it. It works for them, and they're pretty successful. What was one of the more successful things that y'all did to drive your corporate business? Do you remember, like, what was that one thing that you could share with our viewers that might help them if there's retailers out there?
I think it was there's a program called Constant Contact, and that allows you to send out emails. You could send out an email every single day, and so then the task was always getting a name and an email from someone so they would receive it, and just to remind them, hey, if you got a birthday coming up, this is a great idea. A bouquet of lollipops with the birthday person's picture on would be an adorable centerpiece.
Yeah. And I do remember, I don't know whose picture I put on there, but I remember that was the coolest thing to see, a picture. And I can't remember who I got it, a customer or something. But I had the picture on the chocolate, and it was a big success, because who doesn't like their picture on chocolate? I mean, that is so fun to receive if you see like your picture on a piece of chocolate. So what would you say, like, for the people, you mentioned the community here at Overture, what have you personally been able to get connected with that you enjoy here at Overture, like community activities? Which ones?
Well, let me tell you this. When I was looking, I had not signed a contract or anything, I saw these 4 ladies who were playing Scrabble. I love Scrabble. I'm a word person. And I walked up to them and I wrote my name and phone number down, and I said, the next time you play, would you text me? And if I'm available, I would love to come and play with you. And 3 days later, my phone rang, and I got to come here and play Scrabble.
Awesome.
And I love it. But I also like to play Mexican Train, dominoes. That's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I mean, there's such a variety of activities, and helping people find their interest is always a challenge. So you Mexican Train and Scrabble, are those your 2 primary activities that you've been able to enjoy while you're here at Overture?
Well, the one I love the most is water aerobics.
Okay.
And they also have chair yoga, and that's on my list to start going to that. And there's a book club that I was involved in, and I don't know.
That's good, because how many months have you been here?
I came the end of June.
Okay.
So 2 months.
Yeah, that's not very long. So, a lot of people have been here years, and it takes a little bit of time to see what activities you like. And I know they put out a calendar, and it gives an idea of what's going on. So that's good. What would you say, like if somebody was looking for a place to live, what is, again, let's tell our viewers what you've enjoyed personally being here at Overture.
I think the biggest part is the interaction with people. I love it that they provide a continental breakfast, because for breakfast I don't need a big breakfast, but to have a cup of coffee and a bagel, which we had today, waffles are there on Wednesday, and I tend to sit with the same 8 to 10 people every morning. So that's one group of people that is one of my groups.
Right.
And then later in the day, I'm going to be playing Scrabble, and that's another group. And then my Mexican Train people is a different group. So it's not the same people all the time.
Yes.
And it's like developing a network of friends. And I happen to be wearing a dress from a particular store, and someone came up to me and said, was that a dress from wherever? And I said, yes. And she said, do you know they're having an 80% sale right now? And so right there is like I made a new friend, and we took off and checked out the sale.
Oh, that's awesome. I love your story that you lived with your son and daughter-in-law, but I know people have moved out and they've come back to Overture because human relationships are critical. As we get older, it's easy to be isolated, because we even have people here at Overture that I've never met, and they don't come out of their apartment. And I think I heard somebody say the quality of your life is quality of your relationships. So, with you developing relationships within Overture, it just makes it so much better. And it's hard when you're living with a family member and they're doing their thing, they're working, and you're doing your thing, but it takes a conscious effort to go somewhere. You're right here, you just walk downstairs, you got Mexican Train. Walk downstairs, you got Scrabble. You have breakfast. So it makes it easy and convenient. So I want to let our listeners also know, like, what do you see, like, as far as yourself and what you can share with our viewers? What do you think you want them to know about you that would be important for our viewers to understand, and mainly our Overture members? Is there anything in particular?
I think that life is such a journey, and you can't be afraid of the next step. And I think people hold themselves back too much by not having everything figured out. And part of the excitement of life is taking that step forward and not really sure where it's going to lead.
Right.
And you can't have everything figured out to the last detail. You have to take a step and in faith, and you'll know if there's a roadblock, and you have to figure out, is this just a little stumble or is this a no? And that's pretty much how I live my life. And the one thing, I attend a church in the area, and my friends there have noticed in this short time, they said, you're happier now, and you have more confidence. And who would think that renting an apartment would make you happier and give you confidence? But it has. And so I think this is the right path for me right now.
That is so wise. We're going to have to quote that in our somewhere. We got to have that quote because, I think life is, everybody wants to stay in their comfort zone, and you don't grow in a comfort zone. You grow by getting out and being a little uncomfortable at first, and then all of a sudden it's not as uncomfortable because you've grown and you realize that the other side is pretty exciting. But if we stay in our room and don't get out and we just, whatever, we're not going to grow. And the more people you meet, the more relationships you develop, that's a growth thing because you learn from people and being around them. So we appreciate you really sharing that. That's very wise. And I think it's understanding the human nature as, we want relationships. It's how we find them when we get a little older. And here it's a lot easier because you just walk downstairs. You gave that person a note, said if they needed another player, 3 days later, you get a call, and now you're connected to a Scrabble group. I don't know that you can go and do that. I mean, I know they have community centers, and there's things like that, but you got to physically drive. You got to be there when they're doing something. Here, you just walk downstairs, walk around, people playing things. That makes it very easy for you to connect. So thank you for sharing that for our people. We're going to let you have the closing bit of wisdom that we want you to share with our viewers. What would you want people to understand and know about you that you've learned in the 4 months or the couple months you've been here that would be helpful for our viewers?
What I would say about living at Overture is it's an adventure. It is a comfort level I wasn't expecting, and if you have a problem, it is resolved as quickly as possible. Yesterday I was in water aerobics, and we were over at the side of the pool and doing our kicks and stuff, and there was this little wormy thing that was crawling in front of me, and the person beside me said, "That's a snake." I went, "A snake? A snake?"
Not what you want to see in water.
And so somebody called the office, and all of a sudden the general manager, the assistant manager, the activities director are out there to see the snake and take the snake out of the pool. And I mean, I wasn't worried about this little worm / snake, but it's just nice to know that they're right there to resolve whatever's going on.
No, it is good. Thank you, Bartina. I know when this place was being built, I came over here and I was asking around, and they said, these are apartments for 55 and older. And I said, apartments? Why would somebody want an apartment at 55 and older? Now I understand. Because you don't want all the maintenance that you have with others, and you want community. So, when you think about it, you just want somebody to take care of things, pulling the snakes out of the pool, And I'm sure snakes, maybe they're into water aerobics. At least that snake was. So that's interesting that you had that experience and they were able to scoop it out, and that's always good. If you're at home, I guess you got to figure out how to get it out. Yeah. But they were able to do it. Well, thank you, Bartina. We appreciate you on the show, and we want to thank you for being our guest.
Thank you.